friends in fiber, coming to you from the Canadian prairies, from Diana's apartment. Yay! It's episode 140 something.
8.
Thanks. I forgot to ask. I'm Jocelyn, my co-host is
Diana.
And we have had a full day of fiber, so we'll see how well the energy levels go, you guys.
Yeah, it's later than we usually record.
It is a lot later than we usually record, but you know what? It is what it is. We had to go do some frolicking in fiber and visit with people.
Cool. The fiber was frolicked.
Oh, was it? And now we get to sit here and chat to you guys all about the things we did or did not accomplish that we were supposed to do today.
Yeah.
Oops. Diana, do you want to let everybody know what we're going to cover this week?
Yeah.
I've been talking since like noon.
On the docket today, we've got some What's in Our Cup, cool threads, woolly workings, yarn on the go, so little time, wool gathering, and literature.
All the things. All right.
Shall we start with What's in Our Cup?
Yeah, because it's kind of exciting.
The cup isn't exciting. The bottle's exciting. That is now mostly empty. It is British Columbia Raspberry Coca-Cola. I did not know that was a thing.
Neither did I.
But yeah, it's berry-flavored Coke. It's interesting.
You're right. It's a less sweet version of vanilla Coke, which makes it like a cherry Coke, but without the cherry part.
Yeah, it's different cherry Coke. It's quite interesting.
Which is nice, because I'm not a huge fan of the cherry Coke, so... And it says that it comes in the small bottles, because I'm technically not supposed to be drinking it. Don't care.
You also we stopped at Starbucks on the way back.
Well, I promised myself fancy coffee.
And fancy coffee was had.
I just got anything coffee shops make that is a latte, they can make with decaf. Because they press the beans and then make an espresso shot out of the pressed beans.
Yeah.
So I had to make a coconut latte just with decaf. Because it's 8 o'clock or 6 o'clock. What are we? 6:30? 7?
Somewhere around there.
We're
I'm
late.
up on 7.
So I'm not allowed any more caffeine for the day. I'm drinking a Coke. It's got caffeine in it. Not doing myself a disservice by doing that and having coffee. So I got the coconut latte, which is freaking amazing.
It is very tasty. I did not get one, but
sweet, which I really like. That they're doing a lot more of the not super sweet lines.
It's like a natural kind of, like, it's sweet because the milk is sweet, but like naturally, not
They use
enhanced. It has no enhanced sweetness. How about that?
There's no shots of syrupy sweetness in here. The sweet comes from the coconut and the coffee. That's it. Which
It's good.
oh yes, super pumped, so happy.
Because we're old and lame and don't like sugar. Well, I'm old and lame and I don't like sugar.
My doctor is not happy with my sugar levels, so yes. No, I need to get away from the amount of sugar I'm eating. I'm just eating too much sugar, and I have to prep because March is cake month.
Yes, 2 cakes a week, every week for the entire month.
Roughly. So I need to prep. So February is a low sugar, no sugar month for me. To balance that out, you guys. No, I like sweet things, but I don't like them all the time. So I like it when I run across one that my brain goes, oh, that's nice and flavorful, not just sugar. At 6 in the morning, I don't care. Sugar's fine. Stupid cat. It's really good. I'm quite happy I got it. All right, now that I'm done raving about decent Starbucks beverages.
Cool threads.
It's still cold.
Uh-huh.
I'm still wearing my mellow cardigan and my Find Your Fade. Oh, I did wear my squish shawl. I didn't tell you that.
You're making me modify the show notes in the middle of the show.
Always. When don't you modify the show notes in the middle of the show? All the time.
The horror.
Well, I forgot because I went out with my brother-in-law one day and I just wear my coat open and I just put a heftier weight shawl down the front. In which case I just used the squish shawl.
Makes sense.
Cool beans. That was it. I no longer have Diana's mittens. I have finally turned those into Diana to be repaired.
Sitting at the top of my repair pile.
Cool.
That is no guarantee that they will get repaired first.
Nope. I understand that.
This week I have been wearing my Glam Lamb, which is a very hefty sweater. And I've been putting it underneath the very hefty parka. And it's toasty. I like it.
I seems wise.
I also unearthed my rainbow side shawl this week and wore that one day at work.
Oh, good.
So I got that one black sweater that has like the sort of lace-up corsety looking back.
Yes.
And you gotta wear a shawl with that in the winter.
Yes, you do.
So I pulled out the rainbow side.
Oh, wait. Guys, my cat started begging me for breakfast at 5 this morning.
That's a lot of hours ago.
She doesn't get breakfast till 6. She would not leave me alone. I did not capitulate to the little monster. I made her wait till 6.
Good. You are the boss cat?
I am the boss cat. Even
Excellent.
when it's me throwing a pillow at her head telling her to get away from me. In my sleepy, deprived, go away human voice.
I think that brings us to what we're working on.
It does, which is great. I mean, bonus is when we're this tired and I've talked for as long as we've talked, we generally don't get too derailed.
Fair enough. I have 2 nitty things.
I have more.
Okay, well, why don't you start then?
Cool.
I get a segment to myself later, so.
It's true. Though, given the 2 patterns I showed you earlier before we started recording, I'm just going to crochet. I'm never going to be able to get out of crocheting. There's too darn many cute patterns.
There are a lot of really freaking adorable crochet animal patterns. I have to say.
Many. I'm going to be making them forever. Well, at least until I can. Let's talk about what I'm working on right now. I was supposed to be doing some work when we were at the Fiber Frolic today. We were supposed to actually do some knitting and spinning.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
We didn't actually make it to the middle to do any knitting or spinning. We just chatted and visited the whole time and bought yarn.
Which was lovely.
It's like, it's still really good. But that is the smallest event we go to. And we can't sit down and spin and knit at that one. Tells you what the odds are at the bigger one.
We spent like what, 2.5, 3 hours?
3 hours just talking.
And there's only a dozen vendors?
Yep. And it took us almost that length of time to get all the way around.
We had a good time.
It's great. I am slowly but surely putting progress on my niece's flax light sweater. I'm doing it out of some Manifesta Earl Grey Algeria yarn. I am still working in my pink. I am like a row or 2 short from finishing my raglan increases, in which case I'm going to then connect the sweater in the round, take some weight measurements of my leftover pink yarns, and split it so that I can use half of what's left for the body and the other half to make sleeves. Because if everyone remembers, when I knit in the round, it's inside out and backwards.
This is true.
Because I knit backwards, which is fine. It means I have to be very careful when I connect the sweater in the round. And it also means I'm going to want to do a chunk of the body before I start doing the sleeves, so I have enough going on that I can do the flippy, foldy, floppy thing I have to do to connect sleeves and get them to work properly, so that I don't have my knit stitches on the inside and my garter stitches on the outside. Because that would be wrong. Purl on the outside? Yeah, purl on the outside. So that's going to be interesting, but I knew that when I decided to start doing the sweater flat and then move it in the round. So, however, still think totally worth it because I've not messed up the shoulders increases. So still happy with the decision I've made. Having said that, have I worked on it as much as I should have? No, I have not. Please feel free to lecture me. This may honestly be my podcast anniversary thing, so I am not allowed to cast on my sweater till I am done this. Which hopefully motivates me to get it finished. Maybe. We'll see, you guys. We'll see. All right. Then I suppose I will do another one because you just have 2, right?
I only have 2.
Well, then let's talk about the other knitting project.
Before you get into that, can you pass me my Notion bag over there?
Sure.
Because if you talk about this one for long enough, I might have a semi-finished object.
Oh, jeez. Sure. I'm sorry. Did you just say talk more? Okay. No problem. You guys remember that ribbed cowl that I'm doing? And people who watch the podcast for ages are like, Jocelyn, you're out of your mind. Because you know how much I do not enjoy ribbing. It is making some progress. It is at the point now where if I don't have a progress marker in here, I don't actually know how much progress I'm making, and then I never want to pick it up because I can't see it growing because it's just at that awkward growth stage.
I understand completely.
So I, in some bulky yarn on a size, I think either US 8mm or 10mm US, it's either an 8 or 10mm. Millimeters are universal. US sizes and UK are different, Jocelyn. Get with the program. I dropped in a quick little removable Clover giant stitch marker at my start of round to mark my progress. So, I mean, like in bulky, I've done half a hand width. 3 or 4 fingers wide. So not a ton, but it's a lot more enjoyable to pick it up now that I can see that progress keeper move further down. So I will put the progress keeper back to the top and continue working on it. But the idea is for this to be a Jocelyn-sized cowl. So you guys have heard me rant multiple times about how I love patterns, but they're not sized for me. So what I'm doing is I'm making a cowl, just a basic cowl, 2x2 ribbing, but I'm doing it in a much larger stitch count so that I've got it draped on my head now, so that it fits me and it's not too small and makes my head look kind of egg-shaped and weird on the top of my body. Which I don't like the look of, which balances out, but had enough height to it that in -40, it's something I'm going to be reaching for because I want that extra layerage. So right now, if I hold it up flat, I'm about 2/3 of the way up my head. 2/3 of the way, yeah, just covering my eyeballs.
Okay.
Which is good, because when I wear it, because this is really going to look great with my hair, when I drape it up here, because I want to be able to wear it around my head, like the weird oval-shaped babushka thing that I want to make it, it falls past the crown of my head and it's starting to fall down towards the back of my head, which means I'm making progress because I want it to be deep enough that when I pull it up so it sits at the top of my crown, it singularly, first layer, covers all the way back down to my shoulders. That doesn't mean it isn't going to be double layered, guys. It's 2x2 ribbing at 140 stitches. This thing is going to be double wrapped. It's going to be double wrapped, but I want that no gap. I want no gap. Because if you've got a gap, the wind will find it. The wind will find it and it'll exploit your weakness. And you go ahead and try to adjust when you've got 2 layers of mittens, a hat, a cowl, a scarf, a blanket, coat, plus 2 sweaters underneath and leggings. Like it just can't move well enough to do that. I wear a double-breasted wool coat. There's no upward. Like if I go up, the whole coat goes with me. Range of motion isn't great.
That scene in the Incredibles, no capes.
No capes.
No gaps.
No gaps. So I'm still making progress on it. It is slow and steady. I am holding a skein of DKN worsted together, some kind of bulky. The DK is a ice cream big scoop from Lion Brand, and then the blue I'm holding it with is the blue Venice Choice. It is all acrylic, mostly because I have a 7-year-old winter coat. It will be 7 years old this March. I will not drop stuff on my winter coat. It does not get spilt on. But anything I'm wearing around my neck and with my white coat gets dirty. It doesn't make sense. It defies logic. I also understand that's how it is. So I love my Find Your Fade. I wear my Find Your Fade. It gets washed a fair bit because it gets ketchup dropped on it. I don't understand how my coat stays white and my shawl is dirty. What?
I don't know how you manage it.
What? I don't understand.
That is a superpower.
It is. I knew I would have to be washing the crap out of this cowl. So I was like, nah, I'm just gonna do it on acrylic. I don't mind acrylic at all. So this way I can do it. It works for what I like. And quite honestly, if I like it enough, I'll just make another one like alpaca or something. Like, let's make a second one. If I've committed to this much 2x2 ribbing, you know I'll do it again. It's not a problem. Not a problem. So, slow and steady progress gets made on that. I had to leave the making the mittens alone post-mitten rant. That was a few episodes ago, guys. Because if I
the worst.
If I had started the mittens again right away, I would have been so angry. So angry. I was angry for a while. So, and what I mean, I decided to cast on the mittens again. Hey, look. It's sitting on 1 DPN.
It counts.
It counts. So, I have technically restarted the mittens. I restarted the mittens and I got ready to go. Okay, so I think I almost have enough stitches. I'll do it in the round. Do a couple of rounds to get the pattern established. When I discovered Phaedra running away with 2 of the DPNs. So it all went in the bag. Because apparently we were playing human stuff mode. And we're going to try again. So the balls are like the size of my head. And they're 2 strands held double. I wound together. So I didn't have 2 balls on the go at the same time. Because that seems like asking for trouble with a cat.
Yes.
Yep. So I will do my mittens, and then I'm going to keep working on my cowl. So I'm not sure how big the cowl is going to be, because I'm going to do the mittens first, and then I'm literally going to use the rest of the yarn on the cowl. So like this thing could end up being like stupid levels of deep. Super stoked. It just means it's not a super fast project for obvious reasons. So hopefully next week I've gotten through mittens and I haven't gone crazy. The goal is to, pardoning the crinkle, I got cookies that I'll talk about later. These are my white winter mittens with the grippies on the inside. They're not super smexy. Very white, finally plastic that is not breathable because I don't want wind getting through. And a fake fur cuff. And these are a men's medium large. Medium, because my fingers are just big enough to fit into it. And it fits my wrist at the squishy part where the wrist caves in. And it goes down to here. So I'm going to make the mittens so that my handmade ones are going to collars, is it a collar? Wrist cuff? Wrist cuff is slightly longer than the fake fur. So I can grab them. Because if it's on the inside of the layer, then you can't grab as efficiently. And I'm going to knit them so that they're fairly fitted. So I'm doing them on a 5mm needle so that they're a fairly snug fit, so that my blue and green mittens can be the inside layer to my white mittens. Because I got space in my thumb if I don't make it too bulky.
Okay. It'll
be fine, so long as I've got it on a fit. And this is for my hands, I can make it fit. But that means I will have a double layer. It's a lined mitten, guys. Like, it's fully lined mitten.
And we still need more layers.
And I need more layers. At -40, this mitten is not enough. At -40, this mitten plus a mitten on the inside is the mitten level I require. And even then, I still kind of have to pull my thumb in when I can. Because my thumb starts to get really cold and numb. So,
yeah.
And achy. That's the kind of weather I'm dealing with. And that's fine. I understand this. It's not the end of the world. It just means I need to be prepared. So this is part of my preparation kit. So I'm going to make the mittens, and then no one's going to see them because they're going to live under these bad boys. However, these bad boys have grippy pads, so I can use my cane.
It's very important.
Especially when every other step, poof, snowbank. Oh, after my cane would fly out of my hand. Whee!
Just out in the middle of traffic.
My cane would live adventurous lifestyles. So it makes incredibly slow progress, but I do try to pull it out and work on it, especially when I come on meeting calls, because I can work on this quietly. And I've done enough of it now, and it's in bulky. Did you guys know you could see your stitches?
In bulky?
I can in bulky. I can't in figuring, which might be why I struggle with 2x2 ribbing and figuring, because I can't see the difference between the purl and knit stitches.
Okay.
Because I can't see that little bump. But in bulky, I can see and feel the bump. So I can feel when I'm knitting and purling, which is why I haven't been making as many mistakes as I do in the fingering. So what I think I need to do is I need to train myself to do it in bulky, worsted, DK fingering. Like, I think I need to scale it back so that I have the touch sensitivity for it.
Okay.
Because I knew there was a difference, but I couldn't see it. So I was making mistakes not realizing it. So.
All right. You successfully talked long enough. I have an almost finished object.
Great, because I only have 2 more things, so you got to go for a bit.
Okay. So I just now finished and have not woven in the ends yet, but I finished the knitting on my totally tubular hat. Yay!
And of course you're wearing a bun, so putting it on your head is hard.
Yeah, that's okay.
Would you like me to put it on my head?
I'll just stuff it on my head.
Sure.
It'll work.
It'll work?
So this is an entire ball of totally tubular from Lion Brand.
If you bought that yarn, that's amazing. Oh, I love its name.
It's a nylon tube with acrylic fibers blown into it. This one is gray with rainbow speckles. I also have one that's black with rainbow speckles. And I gotta just wind this up here a minute. I haven't woven in any of the ends, so this is gonna be a bit of a mess. I'm trying to get this on my head. We can do this. We can make it work on top of my... There we go.
On top of your hair.
On top of my hair.
Oh my.
Damn, that's cozy.
It looks amazing. I freaking love it.
and then I've got this black pom-pom that's gonna... Where's the top of the... It'll stick right there. I'll have a nice little pom-pom.
That is so cool.
Nice little pom-pom. It's a giant pom-pom.
It's huge.
It just looks the size
little.
of my hand.
It looks little compared to the hat.
So I'm pretty freaking excited about this. It actually looks pretty darn good.
Oops.
I have a hat. I was complaining about how I didn't have a hat.
Well, now you do.
Now I have a hat. It even fits over all my hair, and it's doubled up over my ears and everything. I like this giant hat.
You need to weave in your ends and wear that hat.
Heck yeah, I do.
Ugh, so good.
I'll weave in the ends later. Cool. So that's a thing that I just did.
You totally did just do.
It's so cozy. I'm thoroughly delighted right now.
I am happy for you because I am stoked you actually have a winter hat. We literally came here from dinner and we walked, what, 4 blocks?
I'm barely like 3.
Yeah. She's like, I need a hat. I'm like, yes, you do.
I have hats, they just don't fit over when my hair is up. But I hate having my hair down because then it just gets all in your zippers and your coat and it sticks to your neck. And so I like having it up. But then my hats don't fit on. And they just like, they stop like above my ears. And that's not helpful for anybody. Plus it looks stupid. So this is actually alright.
That's a good hat. Good call. Oh,
I
so
like
pumped. And you've got another ball of Totally Tubular to go.
Mm-hmm.
Woohoo!
The black one's going to get a light brown pom-pom on it.
Beautiful. That's what looks so good.
I might just do it exactly the same way, honestly.
Why not? They're your hats.
No, it's just 1x1 rib. I did it in a tube and I cinched it closed. I didn't even do any increases.
Nope.
Or decreases, rather. I did I even do a tubular? I may have done a tubular cast on. I also may have just done a cable cast on. I did a stretchy cast on.
Yep.
I knit 1x1 ribbing until I ran out. And then I cinched the top closed.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit knobbly and bubbly at the top, but the pom-pom's going to cover that, and I don't care. So there's my hat.
Okay, yeah. You need to...
That's a stiff hat. Ooh.
You need to weave in your 2 ends and tie your pom-pom on.
Like, that's just perching on my hand there. It's holding its shape.
It's like it's the super large, gigantic version of the Christmas tree hat I made for you.
Yeah. It just sits right there.
So good. Okay. Crazy lady.
Alright, so that's my thing that I did.
Yep.
Cool.
I talked long enough for you.
Yeah, you did. Thanks for that.
We've got one more thing after this?
I have one more thing.
Okay. Would you like me to do my 2?
Sure.
Cool. I'm also done my row. Which is good because I'm going to move to the 2x2 ribbon because the lighting is... Me and my eyeballs are tired apparently. I finished another 72 objects.
Doesn't count.
I know it doesn't count. Guys, I'm making 2.5 inch wide, which is 2 rounds on a 5mm crochet hook, granny squares. And I am making 2 balls worth in 6 colors. And you're like, Jocelyn, that's not all. I need to do 2 balls in 3 balls in a neutral, 3 or 4 balls in a neutral. I have the numbers written down somewhere. Because I am making a very large bed blanket for one of my aunts. She's completely knit-worthy. She also said I like to put my blankets in the jar, so she is getting acrylic at her request. She doesn't like wool. She finds it scratchy. And I went with my favorite acrylic, which is Bernat Premium, because it holds up really well, and it fuzzes beautifully. You've seen my crochet cocoon cardigan. Like, that just...
Yeah, that's nice.
Oh, so beautiful, and it gets that way pretty quickly, and then it's very stable. And then... I was like, yeah, I'll do you a blanket, because then I can do the math for it, right? Should not have done the math for that till I was done. That's depressing. I've got 4 more skeins, 2 shades of blue left to go, a medium blue and a dark blue. Then I need to do 3 shades of green, and then I need to do a bunch in a neutral. Then I need to sew them all together, and then I need to do the border.
Uh-huh.
Right. Jocelyn's lost her mind. Jocelyn's lost her mind.
So you love your aunt, right?
I do love my aunt. And I am going to be so happy when I'm done this. It's going to be ridiculous. But because if I like it, I'm going to do it for myself.
Good
what
call.
It is. And I do love gifting her things. She also pays me. She doesn't just assume it's free. She gives me money.
Oh, hi.
Diana's laundry alarm went off. She gives me money, which is important. She understands that this is work, which not all of my aunts and cousins and uncles understand.
A lot of people don't.
They don't. So, like, she didn't go like, hey, I want a blanket. She's like, how much do I have to pay you? She didn't set a price. She's like, how much do I pay you to make me a blanket?
That's good. She understands.
So she gets it. So I'm happily going to do it. However, that does mean my project bag is literally right now 6 bags of the extra large zipper freezer bags, because I don't want to lose any of these damn squares. I will be so mad if I lose these squares, and they're just the right size for Phaedra to run off with. As you may have seen from our Instagram photos, she likes to help me push the stacks over. Cat. So I need to make 6 more bags of colors, and then I can lay all the colors out on my floor.
And hope Phaedra doesn't run away with them.
Well, I'm going to lay them out on the floor, and then what I'll do is stack them in order for sewing for each row.
Okay.
And then I will put each stack in its own space. So that way I'm just pulling a stack out, sewing down the whole, sewing the length. So the whole bed thing won't actually be out on the floor for very long.
Okay.
Yeah. So I can do it that way, because that's easy enough to do for me. It does mean to keep them in order, I'm going to be tying a little bow and string on each of the squares, so they just make long tied strips.
Okay.
But I can do that. It's an organizational thing for me, guys. It's how I keep my brain straight. And then I can crochet a border, and then hopefully take this out to Mom and Dad in May, when I go to visit my parents in May, and leave it with them, and she can pick it up when she comes through to visit in the summer. Next week, we'll bring you another 72 squares.
72 squares a week for how many weeks?
I don't want to discuss it. I technically should be doing 2 colors a week, like one color every week. They haven't come out with the greens yet, the spring green yet, so I'm a little off the hook for that. But as of March, after my birthday and the end of the podcast anniversary, I have to haul keister. So like it might be the only project in April that I work on. All right, I got one more. Because I'm at Diana's today. I didn't have a project bag for the last project. I just shoved it in the Northern Knits bag.
Hey, we match.
Shameless self-plug. Shameless. You guys may recall, last week I was talking about how I have a couple, and they're friends of mine, and they're expecting their first baby. So this week I went and I bought 2 cakes of Burnett Pop. And I was going to show you guys the 2 cakes I bought to make the start of the granny square blanket, right? Oops,
one of the balls turned into squares?
No, both balls turned into squares.
Both balls turned into, so we don't get to see the balls, we just get to see the squares.
You just get to see 20 squares.
Well, I mean, it's not 72.
No, and it's still not a finished object because I need to crochet them together now with their border color. So I had on Wednesday, was it Wednesday? Yes. Wednesday I went to the doctor, and I go after the doctor, pretty close to Walmart for me. So I went to the wall known as the Mart, and I picked up 2 Yarn Inspirations Burnett Pop in the Snow Queen colorway because it was nice, it was bright, it was cheerful. They don't know the sex of the baby, and they like color. So this one goes from a pink and a purple, and it's got yellows and blues and greens, and it's got all sorts of wonderful colors in it. Some squares are solid, some squares have color variations to them. So I'm going to stagger them so it'll be sort of checkerboard. So the ones that have half one color, half the other, or color fade will be in one, the whites, and the solids will be the black, like you would on a checkerboard.
Okay. And
they'll have a gray border between all of them. So we're going to have a very bright, cheerful baby blanket. Probably next week, if I'm honest. Mostly because I'm seeing Dad on Thursday. And if I can get this done and working on the border, I can show it to him and see what he thinks of it. I mean, I know what he's going to say. He's going to be happy and excited he's getting stuff for free. They're knit-worthy. They're good people. Also kind of fell down a rabbit hole. Thank you, Asa. Was it Asa or Susanna who sent me that crochet pattern? I think it was Asa. Anyway, I got a crochet pattern link for a dragon crochet baby sweater. It's a baby sweater with the dragon spines up the back and the dragon hoodie with the ears. So that's also happening for that baby. It's coming in April, so I don't have a ton of time, but I've got some time. So I have a stack of 20 squares. Got to give this bad boy a border, and then the baby blanket is done. And this is important because this was a timed knit. The baby comes in April. And I'm going to do the crocheted cardigan dragon thingy because that is so freaking cute. So that's going to happen. So that'll be the first thing I really have to get off my hooks. It's technically not needles because it's crocheted, not knitted. But I want to get that off the needles, my niece's sweater off the needles, and this cowl off my needles before I start anything else. So I really got a whole keister if I'm going to have those things done so I can cast on my own tin can knit sweater.
Good luck.
Thanks, ma'am. All right, you're up.
All right.
I'm out of projects.
Speaking of tin can knit sweaters and podcast-iversary knit-alongs.
I know you've started before me.
I cast it on yesterday, finally. Everybody cheer. No, don't actually. It's not cheer-worthy. So I'm knitting the Flax Pullover by Tin Can Knits. The only modifications that I'm making are I'm doing a contrast color for the collar, the cuffs, and the hem.
Yes.
The rib part at the bottom. That's a hem, right?
That's a hem. Yeah.
Okay. And I will probably make the sleeves longer, just because I like them longer, and if I'm doing that anyway, I might do it such that I have thumb holes in my extra long sleeves, because I love that, because I just do. It is a design element that brings me great joy to be able to stick my thumbs through holes in my sleeves, to the point where I have a shirt with long sleeves, and I fiddled with the seams for so long that I just made holes in a rather expensive shirt, is how badly I desire thumb holes in my sleeves.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm with you. I also like thumb holes in long sleeves. But if you guys notice, I also push all of my sleeves up to my elbow and refuse to stop knitting things at my elbow.
Then why do you need thumb holes in your sleeves?
Don't ask me. I just want thumb holes in my sleeves, and I want them long enough to do that with. And I still push all of my things up.
Don't understand you.
It doesn't make sense, and I know it. I may have made a mistake making my progress keeper blue.
That may have been not the wisest choice. Hey, look, I have candy in my project bag.
Okay. Were you worried you would run out and need a snack?
Maybe.
Cool.
All right. So the main color...
Tingy. My needles.
My main color for my flax is pumpkin spice from Dye For You. I got a custom order of a sweater quantity of this 2 years ago? Two fiber festivals ago.
So yeah, 2 years ago.
Yeah, well, a year and a bit. And I promptly swatched for it and cast it on, and then didn't like it and ripped it out and then didn't touch it again until now.
If you're wondering how I hit on the idea to use Tin Can Knits as the designer for the podcast anniversary this year, there you go.
So I have, I don't even know how many cakes of this, but it is this lovely pumpkin cinnamon. It's a reddish orange.
It's pumpkin spice.
Yeah, it's pumpkin and cinnamon and all those lovely orangey, browny, reddy colors.
It's a fall colored sweater.
It is, and it's getting paired with charcoal, which I only have this one cake of, because it's just for a collars, cuffs, and hem.
Edging detail.
Edging detail. And I'm fairly delighted with this color combination still.
This is a really good color combination.
So I've got approximately, don't drop stitches, approximately 1 inch of my collar done. If I hold this up real close, you can get a nice look at it. But look at that, how the colors just knit up well. It's a very nice heathered charcoal color. I have done a tubular cast on, which I don't think the pattern called for, but nope. I like tubular cast-ons. I think they look nice. So that is what I have done. So minor modifications. I'm not going to be fancy and try to modify like sizes or fit or anything. I've picked a size. I'm going with those numbers. I'm not going to be fancy about it. I'm just going to knit it as the pattern says and just do simple color changes. They are my only modifications because that is the only thing that I'm confident in being able to change, having never knit a pullover sweater before.
I feel like by just trusting in the pattern and doing as instructed, you're going to have less ripping out than I know how to do a mitten, and I don't need to follow hat instructions.
Hats I can do. I proved that with the totally tubular hat.
You did.
Yeah.
You did.
It's a tube.
It is a tube.
It's a tube.
It's a tubular tube. Sorry. Sorry. Really shouldn't. I shouldn't. Okay, I'm done.
Yes, mittens I do not know well enough, and sweaters I certainly don't know well enough.
Yeah, my no stretch.
So,
Both of us.
I will be knitting that to a tried and true pattern that many people have knit on Ravelry, and they all say it's great. So I'm gonna believe them and knit to the pattern.
I'm excited.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Good story.
Oh, I got ages ago. I got new needles to knit this with. These are the Knitter's Pride Zings, I think.
Yes.
Fortunately, the ones that I got to do the body in are half the size too large, which is irritating because I swatched like 4 swatches for the sweater. It better well fit. Well fit. Sure.
Better well fit? I'm not sure that's English, but we'll take
it better well fit.
We'll take it.
I did too much swatching for this thing not to fit when I'm done. So I'll be knitting the body on wooden needles that I already have. But for the ribbing, I have this 4mm needle, and I'm enjoying the zings. They're like...
It's okay. You've got the 5mm zings, right?
Yeah.
Which is good, because you have the Endless Summer Adventures shawl,
mm-hmm.
and it calls for a 5mm needle.
Oh, perfect. So these are...
It's almost like I know that pattern.
Almost, yeah. These are nice blunt needles without too much taper, and surprisingly uncold for being made of metal.
That's fair, because sometimes the aluminum metally ones can definitely transfer the cold better. Which I like, because I don't like hot, sweaty hands.
I like the wood ones, because they're not... I find... So, now that I've given myself a repetitive strain wrist injury, I find that cold things, when I hold onto them in my hands, they make my wrist hurt.
Were we just having that conversation about cold makes me ache?
Yeah, we were. As we walked home in the cold. So
That's just because my knee tried to do the bend backwards thing again.
Yeah. So I find sometimes when I'm having a bad wrist day, metal knitting needles just really don't feel good. Mm-mm. Like they just
would
hurt.
aggravate things, yeah.
But I don't feel that with these. They're not cold like that. They're only like aluminum on the tips, and I don't know what the rest of them are. There's some other kind of like matte colored metal. Probably still aluminum, but I don't know. It just doesn't feel the same.
It doesn't. The zings feel different. I like the zings.
Yeah. Would use again.
Well, you'll be using them for a while, that's for sure.
This is true. Honestly, I might go get more in the appropriate size.
Well, I have to go down to the local yarn store this week because I've got those free replacement needles I ordered last January.
Oh my goodness.
That are in now.
Okay. All right.
So I gotta go anyway. If you want a companion.
Sure.
Like, okay, sure.
We'll see how patient I am about wanting to get onto the body, because I am just about done this collar, and honestly, I might be too impatient, and I'll probably just do it on my ones that I already have.
That's fair. It's because it's excited and it's a project you're working on.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Is there anything else we need to talk about?
That was my last knitting project.
That was my last one that I talked about. So at these, we're on to the next thing.
We are on to Yarn on the Go.
Oh boy, did we go.
We went. Yarn. Oh hey, my laundry's going too. It's going into battle. Shush.
Laundry page. Yarn on the go?
Yarn on the go. We goed with the yarn.
We yarned.
We yarned and goed.
We frolicked.
Yes.
With some fiber.
We purchased fiber. It frolicked home with us.
Boy, did it frolic home effectively. In January, in the city of Winnipeg, the Norwood Naughty Knitters, which are a big knitting group here in the city, invite everybody in, and they do a January fiber frolic. So on a Sunday in January, usually towards the end of the month, they have like a dozen or so vendors. They run like 3 classes. They have a little mini fiber festival, which is great because when you think fiber festivals, they usually start in like late spring, summer. You get a couple, and then fall you get a ton. Mm-hmm. So it's really nice to have one like right in the middle of the winter.
It is.
It's a good way to start the year off. So of course me and Diana went.
Mm-hmm.
Because why wouldn't we? They had some amazing classes going this year.
I didn't even know there were classes, to be perfectly honest. Shows how much I pay attention.
Cool. cool. That's good. They had some delightful classes going this year. I went for the fiber. Diana went for the fiber, and we bought things. So it's great. It runs from noon to 4. The frolicking part is they always have dancers down. Sometimes they're Scottish dancers, sometimes they're Norwegian dancers, sometimes like it's different dancing groups. Mm-hmm. And it's always terribly cute because you always get like little people and teenagers doing the dancing. Yeah. Watching the little people and the teenagers try to keep leg pace together. Hilarious. I love it. Love it so much. So good. Like that one little boy, he was giving her all. He was trying really hard.
Yeah, what was he, like 3, 4?
All
5?
The girls were much bigger than him.
He was trying.
He was trying, and he was having fun from the looks of it. Mm-hmm. So, and that's the important part, and it was really nice to see. So I caught a little bit of footage. I did a little mini vlog thing for it, and that'll go up for the Patreon viewers. But the important thing is that we saw a ton of people that we know in the community, and we bought some stuff. So we're going to talk about what it is that we bought. And quite frankly, I think we have to start with the most important purchase, which was the cookies.
Yes, I will agree with that. Mm-hmm. Clearly the cookies were the most important things.
Not the cookies. Guys, Sugar Coats was there. They've been there before. They're she does fancy cookies.
And fancy brownies.
So, pardon the crinkly bag. Her regular cookies had corn in them, so I couldn't have them. But her gluten-free ones were corn-free. So I bought some gluten-free chocolate chip cookies. Not because I can't have gluten, but because I can't have corn. It sneaks in there, guys. It's everywhere. So I'm excited for my chocolate chip cookies. Okay, you gotta show off the good cookie.
Better than the brownie?
Was the llama cookie. I can't have a llama cookie. It's got corn in it.
Such a cheerful llama cookie.
But it is so friggin' cute.
Tastes really good too. It's a sugar cookie with extra sugar.
Yes.
So good. I believe it. She gave me one of the little heart cookies.
Yeah, samplers.
Oh, it was good.
Good.
Real good. I knew I had to buy a llama cookie after that. So
excellent.
The samples, they work.
Excellent. Samples do work.
Samples work really well on me.
You're a sucker for good promotional marketing?
Oh, that's so freaking cute.
Mm-hmm.
So freaking cute. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to admire it for a few days before I eat it.
Well, yeah, you've got a few days before you have to eat it, so that's fine. Eat your brownie first.
Yes.
I'm going to eat my chocolate chip cookies tomorrow while I'm working. Because nothing says Monday afternoon snack like a decaf cup of coffee.
And gluten-free chocolate chip cookies.
Had a gluten-free chocolate chip cookie with my skinny syrup. My life is ridiculous.
Okay. That sounds like taking a good snack and making it terrible.
But it's not. It's good food.
I know it's not terrible, but it sounds terrible.
It does. I just have everyone's like, why don't you upsell it? I'm like, I can't. I gotta be honest about it because that's what makes it great. So they're like, oh, well, this tastes amazing. I'm like, it does, but it's such a long series of words that do not sound tasty together. It was supposed to be the Drop Spinners meetup for the month, the Winnipeg Drop Spinners group. I was supposed to drop spindle. I took my drop spindle. I took what's left of this little bag of fiber, which keeps shrinking and shrinking. Did I actually spin? No. Jocelyn, do not at me.
We never even sat down.
We didn't even sit down. 3.5 hours to get around 12 vendors and talk to a room full of people in literally a community house, like in a community building. To
be fair, we did show up an hour late because I couldn't leave my parking lot because they plowed the street and then didn't clear the exit.
Well, it's because you refused to go out the indoor.
No. People were parked in front of the indoor. I could not get to the indoor.
Okay.
So yeah, the outdoor was blocked, and so was the indoor.
I got the text and I was like, wow, okay, cool. Snow happens. People get weird every time. So I decided, because I'm almost out of spinning fiber, specifically meant for the drop spindle. I have fiber that's not meant for the drop spindle. It's meant for my spinning wheel. They are different in my mind because on the drop spindle, I'm learning to spin art yarn, which is, it's inconsistently consistent.
Consistently inconsistent.
That's the way I want to phrase that. Whereas on the spinning wheel, I want to learn to spin like a fingering weight yarn, which are different techniques. And I left them on separate machines because everywhere I've ever read from anybody tells you that once you get out of the habit of making art yarn, it's really hard to go back. So I'm like, okay, I got my brain programmed to treat my drop spindle like an art one and have my spinning wheel treated like a regular yarn. They move at different speeds. They have slightly different drafting methods. Mm-hmm. Should be good. Should be able, and it seems to be working fine. Like I seem to be balancing out my head okay. But I never actually bothered to get any more yarn to drop spindle. Mm-hmm. I'm almost out of yarn or fiber to drop spindle. So I bought some more fiber for drop spinning. It's meant for my drop spindle. It's meant to be an art yarn. I got in trouble with Daria. So Cloud9 Fiberworks is one of the not limited number of amazing local dyers we have in the city and in the province. Like we've got some amazing local dyers here in the prairies. And I got some of her Russian mint fiber. I got two bundles. I don't know what to call these. Not skeins.
Braids?
Okay. Braids? Oh,
Are they braided? I think they're usually called braids.
This is twisted like it's a hank.
It is.
So I'll call it a braid. Technically, that's just one way of putting together your fiber, so it's not in a bag. I have been picking up the Russian mint fiber for 4 or 5 fiber events now. Every time me and Diana go, one of the first things I grab is this colorway, and it is the Russian mint. I committed. I bought it. How am I going to knit this much black? Not a hot breaking clue. But this combo of black to green with like the dark smoky grays in and then like the occasional light green speckle. I say speckle, it's a little green strip. It's so freaking pretty, and I love the feel of her fiber so much.
It is nice.
And I'm like so pumped to start pulling this apart and making it into little bally dudes so that I can drop spin this. So freaking excited. I thought about just getting one, and then I went, who am I kidding? I like large projects. What's the point of one? When do I do a small project, guys? Never.
This is true.
Never. So I got 2. So I'm going to spin these as a single, and then I'm going to apply this with a lace white in like a cream color or a light green color to just give it a little more stability to the art yarn, because I'm not perfect at it yet. I'm still working on consistently inconsistent, and that'll just help give me some stability to the fiber. So I'm going to start working my way through this next. Having said that, you know, I'm going to try to make myself a cloth bag that I can store all of my bits in so that I make less crinkly sounds when I'm talking about it in podcast recording, because 200 grams of fiber is going to take me a while. Even though they actually make it out to the drop spinning meetups now. And it's nice, I get a couple of hours of drop spinning in, at least once a month. I'm going to try to uptick that so that I'm more consistent with my spinning, because I do enjoy it. I did get the sewing room re-kajiggered. Kajiggered? Yeah, that's a word, right? Maybe. Sure. It's a word now. So that my spinning wheel and my chair fit in my sewing room now.
Perfect.
So I actually have a sewing space again. So, sewing space, spinning space. Technically, I almost have a sewing space. Right now, my project bags currently live on my sewing room table because my yarn and fiber have taken over the china cabinet. I don't have any more space. So I bought more yarn. Dropping things. What? Do you deny my justification for this?
You need no justifications.
I really don't. I could have bought it just because I wanted it.
Yeah.
Manjusha Fibers is another local dyer. Just conveniently happened to be right next to Daria. Had this amazing variegated purple fingering weight yarn. And we're multiple shades of purple. We go from lilac-y lavender down to a nice, rich, like royally kind of purple. Really pretty, right? You're like, Jocelyn, why did you need 2 skeins of it? Everybody know that Stephen West shawl I've been talking about forever? That's on my Make 9.
Which one?
Snowlight, Starlight.
Oh, Starflake?
Starflake.
There we go.
I was called Snowflake, and I know that's wrong. Starflake requires 4 skeins, 2 of one color, 2 of another. And I have 2 skeins of raspberry from Mammoth Yarns in my stash that must be made into that shawl. And here's the contrasting darker color. It also just happens to be in pinks, white, and purples, and grays, which are our freaking logo colors. So I am making my podcast colors into a shawl. And because the name of this is Chaos, for both of these skeins, their colorway name is Chaos, and the other colorway named is Raspberry, it is going to be my Raspberry Chaos shawl.
Perfect.
Ta-da! Naming is important, people.
It's very important.
I am such a sucker for a good name combination, it's not even funny. That's how I ended up with Blood of My Enemies and Winter is Coming.
At work, honestly, the hardest thing is naming stuff.
It is, but it's so worth it if you get it right. So
I write code for a living, like programming machinery to do mysterious things. Hardest thing, naming stuff.
I'm a dungeon master. I've made an entire world. Do you know how many of them just have placeholder names? City A, City B, City C. I can't name. I may honestly ask Mr. B to come over and look at my world map and give me some names.
You know they have name generators online?
I don't always like what they do. And then every once in a while I run across one that has been in Critical Role. And then I feel like I shouldn't use it. Because I'll be like, you're just watching Critical, which is not wrong. I watch it all the time. I use it for names for big characters and stuff. Because that's super helpful.
Yeah, that's definitely where I got all of my character names.
So that's the thing. But that's what I bought. And that's only because I may have accidentally had to spend more money this week on adult things than I wanted to. Okay. Are you ready?
Are you ready?
Well, you purchased imaginary friends. I'm just delighted for you.
So from Manjusha Fiber Arts, I purchased, this one's actually braided. It is a braid of Imaginary Friend in Superwash Merino. And it's squishy. It is primarily white, but it's also got, let's see, some dark reds, some orangey reds, some lime green, and some dark blue. All sorts of things. I have no idea how that's going to spin up, and it's going to be interesting. But then, one booth over at Cloud9 Fiberworks, she also had a colorway called Imaginary Friend that is rather different. This one is more purpley gray with pinks and blues and a little bit of lime green.
So they did those colorways in fiber and a sock base for a reason. Do you remember what the reason was?
No, I absolutely do not. So I'm going to look to you to explain to everyone why they both have Imaginary Friend.
So the owner and the owners of Manjusha Fiber Arts and Cloud9 Fiberworks are good people. They're good friends. They are doing different themes. So for the frolic, it was Imaginary Friends. And they went and they dyed their take on that inspiration. And they are donating a chunk of the proceeds to different charities throughout the year. So as each of these events come up and they go to these events, they're going to have a different colorway revealed for that event. Primarily in the sock base, but they're also going to do it in some fibers and stuff. So you get to buy yarn and donate to charities at the same time, which is like win-win in my boat. And I love that they're doing this throughout the year. So like there's going to be like a year's worth of just inspired colorways where when you buy it, you're also helping support a charity. So I think this one was the Children's Hospital for this one.
I don't know.
Super.
I knew it was to support a charity, and they had something with the same colorway name that looked quite different.
And it's because they're two different dyers, but they're both, yeah.
So I
good.
Wanted to get them both and see how they spin up, and maybe once they've spun up, they look good together, and they go into a two-skein something.
Yeah.
And it's the Imaginary Friends
something.
Yeah. Way
down
down the line.
I think it's I love what they're doing. I love their initiative behind it because I think it's a really nice thing to be able to do and give back to the community that way. But yeah, that's why they're doing it. It just means we get new fiber and yarn colorways, guys.
Which
Nothing wrong with that.
Exactly.
So super excited. It's just they're really pretty. I would if I could, but I couldn't, so I didn't.
Oh yes, we also wanted to talk about the One Nation exchange.
We did. We didn't actually end up picking up anything from those ladies, but they're amazing, and they need to be highlighted at all times. Hi! We got recognized. Okay,
That'll
cool.
never not be weird. That's so cool.
It's so cool. It's so weird at the same time. It's delightful. They are an organization that teaches immigrants. Is that the right? Yeah?
Yeah.
Immigrants, refugees. Teaches women who've come to Canada, who are new to Canada, or Indigenous First Nations, sewing techniques. And what they can do is, once they've learned, they can sew a set line of things that I already forgot the name.
Which?
The ladies who do the selling. The something nation.
One Nation.
One Nation. The One Nation's got a series of line of sewn items that they do, and what happens is each lady who's sewn a bag or the pillow or whatever it is that they're selling has their name attached to it, and then they get paid for the item that they've made, which is so cool. And it's a hand up, not a hand out, and that makes such a difference. It's somewhere that they can go, and when they have small children, they can learn to sew, and there's a place for the children to play, and it gives them, what's the word I'm looking for? Autonomy?
Sure.
Use all the fancy words. It helps them be independent and maybe earn some money and help their families, which is just awesome. And then combining the two, so you have immigrants and refugees, and you have them working with and learning about Indigenous First Nation cultures, and you have Indigenous First Nations learning about other cultures. Yes. Good people doing good things.
Yes.
And good people, which the world just needs more good people.
Yes.
Period. So, I mean, we liked it. We looked at the stuff. I just honestly didn't have the budget for it. So I'm glad I know about the ladies, because it means I can go find them and I can just buy things later. Because that is going to happen, because there was that white and purple bag with the tree on it.
Yes.
And I feel like, I think I need to get that.
Okay.
So I gotta go find those ladies. But yeah, that was one of those ones that we saw amongst like all of the amazing booths that were there. We were like, yes. Even though we didn't buy from you, we need to talk about you, because what you're doing is really good work.
Yeah.
All about the good feels, people. Listen, when I start talking about the book I'm reading this week, that goes right out the window. Right out the window. Okay. I think that was it for me for mentioning for Yarn on the Go. I just did doctor's appointments. Nobody likes talking about those.
Yeah. This is the only going with yarn I've done this week.
I waited for the vampires to take blood from me for an hour and a half after 12 hours of fasting. It's great.
It's a lovely time.
The 4-year-old complained less than the adult male getting blood taken.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a kid just sat down, got the needle, got the blood taken, was done. Oh, said hi, said bye, because he'd asked me what my cane was about, so I'd explained to my cane. But the adult male sitting on the other, across from me on the other side, so the kid was here, and then kid was on my left, guy was on my right, and I was getting my not singular vial of blood drawn. It only took 4.
Only 4?
Only 4, it's great. Sometimes I take more. And he was more grumpy than the 4-year-old was. I'm like, really? Okay, that's sad. I get tattoos and I don't like needles, and I still don't complain as much as that dude did. And he was a dude. Like, he was one of those bigger than me dudes. He was like a man with like the big shoulders. Like, cool. Like, nope, okay, whatever.
Really doesn't like needles. All right.
Mm-hmm.
That always amuses me when the big burly dudes are the ones that are...
Yeah.
It's terrible stereotyping.
It is awful stereotyping, and yet it brings me such joy.
It does.
I'm like, okay, cool. So my instinctive inclination about what your strengths were wrong. That's great. No. And I left the doctor's. I was like, Mom, I'm going to the Southdale restaurant and having dinner. Mom's like, what? I'm like, 13 hours. I'm not walking home for 20 minutes and then cooking for another 40. I'm walking across the street, sitting down in a restaurant, and I'm eating a sandwich.
Yeah, that seems like a good course of action.
It was. Then I bought yarn. That was accident. It just accidentally fell in my basket.
Absolutely, accidentally. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
totally.
cool. Great. Next week I'm out a lot, guys, again. And none of it's fun. Hey, I gotta work on my sock heel tomorrow. I gotta have a sock to knit on while I go to the dentist on Tuesday.
Very important.
It is. I'm trying to avoid talking about depressing things. What are we up next?
I have an exciting thing.
Okay, go.
We have a So Little Time segment, and it's mine.
All yours.
I sewed actual finished objects.
I know. I already put in a request for some.
Just stop choking on your drink.
I don't think the reaction's that bad.
I sewed something. Actually, not just one thing. Just put your drink down for a second. I sewed 3 things.
Oh my god, who are you?
I know.
Who are you?
Okay, so a little bit of backstory about how I managed to spend 8 hours sewing at work, because that's totally not my job.
Yeah, I wasn't. I were posting this on Friday, and I was like, did you take the day off? I didn't ask.
No. So, there's fires in Australia, and it's affecting the animals, and so Animal Rescue had been asking for donations of hanging joey pouches, like little non-hanging pouches for rodents to crawl into, bird nests.
Were they asking, or was that just sort of a person-driven one?
I believe they were asking because they've had such a huge influx of animals.
Okay. I donated money.
Yeah, that honestly that's probably the easiest thing.
Well, I figured they'll know what to do with it better than I would.
Yeah. So I will tell you why that's a good thing to do as I progress with the story. So we thought, hey, crafters doing a thing and we've got a craft club at work. And so we're like, yeah, we'll organize like a volunteer event. It'll count towards our volunteer hours because my company dedicates 1% of employee time to volunteer activities. And so this was going to be a thing that counted towards our volunteer hours, which is great because I haven't done any volunteer activities in a while and so I'm behind on my hours. And so we're gearing up to do this thing, and then like 4 days before, they updated the Facebook post that we'd been using for our information, and they're like, everybody pause crafting, we've got so much stuff, just everybody pause.
So it made sense for me to send money then.
Yeah,
okay.
And we're like, well, poo, now what are we going to do? So we decided instead, because we'd already gone to the trouble of organizing this event, that instead we were going to make items that we're going to auction off at Town Hall next week in order to raise money to send to them.
Oh, good.
So ultimately we're sending money, but it still involved crafting things. So I learned how to sew. I learned how to sew bento bags from a YouTube video that I will link in the show notes.
Good, I'm going to want to follow that link.
But look, it's my little itty bitty bento bag. This started life as a child's sweatshirt that I think is from the 90s, given this fabric and the cut of the shirts when it started. So how this works, because people always look at this and like, how is this a bag? So observe. Observe. You put a little thing in the bag, and then you, off camera of course, tie your little ends closed, and then it's a cute little bag to put your lunch in. This one's really too small for lunch. Also, I did kind of a terrible job on it because it was the first one that I made. So I'm keeping this one because it's terrible.
It's called your test.
Yeah.
It's your sample.
It's my prototype.
It's your prototype. There you go. That's the word we're looking for.
Yeah. So this one's my prototype where I learned stuff. But then, this one took me 4 hours because
learning.
I screwed up my bobbin on my sewing machine, and it took me forever to figure out why it kept snarling and snagging, and I almost at one point had to take the whole underneath workings out to untangle it because I done did it good.
You done did it good.
Ooh. So that one took me 4 hours, and then I had things figured out. So this one took me an hour and a half.
That's a lot more reasonable.
This one we had a donation of fabric from one of my mother-in-law's quilting friends. So we've got cats in a flower garden combined with cats in yarn basket. And this one's actually a proper size bento bag, so you can put like real size Tupperware containers in here and tie the ends closed, and it's super freaking cute.
I've already put in a request for a bento bag for my birthday.
So it's super freaking cute. And then
so
I was even more on a roll. I had people cutting and ironing fabric for me at this point.
Okay, how'd you swing that?
That's what they wanted to do.
Oh my word.
So I went from 4 hours to an hour and a half to 45 minutes.
And I did another one.
And I did another one. This one is all the Cats in a Garden fabric, which has even nice, really straight edges. I'm really...
Yeah, you can see the improvement each time we go in, and that's just I did all right.
I'm quite pleased with this.
I'm so excited. It's going well.
They're super easy to make.
Skirt, I'd love to see you finish.
Yeah, I'd love to see me start.
That too.
It's just 2 triangles of fabric that's sewed together in like a diamond shape on the bottom, and then it folds up and you sew up the sides, and the tutorial explains everything. It's like a 6-minute video. It's really simple.
It was really good.
So I have enough triangles cut and ironed for me that I have 2 or 3 more bags to make by next Thursday. So I think I'm sewing bags on Tuesday.
Remember to take photos because they'll be gone before we record again.
Yeah. So I'm super delighted with bento bags. They're really fun to make, and I'm super into the sewing thing now, and I'm really motivated to make that skirt. Hey, go figure. So I sewed things, and I'm happy. Oh wait, it's a finished object. It's a finished object.
Put it on your head.
Put it on my head. What do you think? This way?
Yes.
Okay. It's a finished object. It's gonna go on my head.
Oh yeah.
Okay, this is the dumbest thing I've ever put on my head.
Your husband could see you now. Oh baby, someone else take her home.
I'm gonna take a picture of this because this is just.
You gotta send that to your husband.
This is
just freaking ridiculous. Like, yep, that's gonna go with. And Jocelyn says you married it. You can keep
okay,
it.
I guess I'm about to start crying and running mascara everywhere. Wow, that is the dumbest thing I have ever put on my head.
That is amazing.
We're just gonna put that over there.
Can that be our video intro image, please? Please, yes, can that be our video image? That's amazing. Oh, I'm so happy. Freaking happy right now. That is delightful.
I'm glad I can bring you joy by putting strange things in my head.
It's way better than thinking about a boy in a sexy French maid outfit doing my dishes.
I don't know. I mean, a bento bag on your head, that's pretty sexy.
Pretty darn sexy.
I sewed it myself.
Oh my god. I'm done. I'm out. Finished. Cut. Next clip. Oh my god. I'm not supposed to swear on this podcast. It's too late. It is too late for us to be recording. Oh my gosh. I'm either going to delight or that image of your head's going to haunt me. Like, one of the two is going to happen and I just don't know what. Oh my gosh. Okay. That's a thing.
So that happened.
You cannot unsee that. Okay. We're good. We'll balance that out with some serious content.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Wool gathering. It's time for some wool gathering.
You need a break?
I'm good.
As usual, thanks to everybody who was able to join us on the Patreon knit in this past Saturday. As always, if you are a Patreon viewer, second last Saturday of the month. If you don't know what in the world I am discussing, for people who can and who want to support us and are monetarily able to do so, they support us through Patreon, which is a wonderful way that allows us to, in this case, this year, upgrade tech, because Diana's moving, so we're doing some hardcore upgrading.
Yep.
And it allows us to do prize donations, which this year are electronic only. And it also allows us to sort of give back to the community and build stronger ties with you guys. So what we do is at a set, they've got different tiers. So if you can do a buck, you do a buck. You get access to extra videos and bonus content. If you can do more than that, then we've got the tier set up to do things. When we reach certain dollar values per month, we're going to add additional features and stuff in. But the primary one that a lot of people sort of sign up to do is the Google Hangouts. So once a month we get on to the internets for about 2.5 hours, give or take, depending on the Saturday and how many people are there.
At least 2 hours.
Sometimes longer. And we chat. We just chat about what you guys are working on, what we're working on. Half the time I'm still eating lunch.
That too, yeah.
We visit, and it's a good knitting circle where we all get to stay at home and wear our pajamas.
I totally wore my pajamas yesterday.
That's totally fine.
Stayed in my pajamas
all
day.
I had a Blood Bowl match afterwards. I put on real clothes because I had a boy coming over. Blood Bowl opponent. So that is something that we do. We do it every month. There are extra videos that go up there. Most of the time it's me. Diana's quite busy. Sometimes I can pester her to be in the videos because she just happens to be with me at the time. So that's kind of how we do things. And I try to do like sort of monthly posts and stuff and check-ins for things. So like all of the stuff in the adventures for the homemade house is going in there. The videos that you saw that were extra on YouTube went up on Patreon first. So if it's not the weekly blog, like if it's not the weekly video podcast, Patreon members are getting it first. There's the perk thing. If you can't, do you know what super helps? Liking, comment, and subscribing. Just as appreciated, because it's just as important for us. So it
helps us float to the top of the algorithm.
It does, and we all want to float to the top of the algorithm. I said that with a straight face. Go me. The other thing we got to talk about, I know, didn't think I was going to do it. Other thing we got going on is between January and the end of March. Guys, it's the podcast anniversary. It is happening once again. We have somehow made it to 3 years. We were discussing it in the car. Neither one of us thought we'd go past 6 months.
Yeah.
We're still going strong. Diana's moving to Waterloo, and we're like, yeah, no, we're not going to stop. still enjoy doing this. So that's a thing. So everybody who's joining in on that knit along adventure, thank you, Asa, who's becoming moderator for us on the Ravelry forums.
Thank you.
So we no longer have to rely on my vision holding out for the day, or Diana remembering she's got social media.
Social media's a thing?
Whoa, boy.
Whoa.
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 What is this?
What is going on?
What's the internet?
What is the internet? Yeah.
Computer?
Yeah. How does one Google? When did Google, like, to Google? That was not a thing as a child for me. One did not say, well, I'm just going to go Google. That was not a complete sentence when I was 12.
Yeah, you couldn't Google it until I feel like I was about 12-ish.
Yeah. Yeah, my teen years, late teen years. Yeah.
So early teen years for me.
Yeah. So, and that's fine. It's just a sign of the times. And I'm old. It's fine. I'm learning. It's just slow. And that's great. And we super appreciate Asa's in there so she can help you guys out with questions and stuff. Super quick gist. If it's a tin can knit sweater pattern, if it's an adult size, if you had less than 50% done by the 1st of January and you're finished by the end of March, enter it into prize draws. Join along. Guys, find me on Instagram and hashtag us. Like if you at Northern Knits Podcast on Instagram, I see it. If you hashtag the podcast anniversary, I see it. And I can ogle your yarn from a distance. Because that is amazing. And I am so excited to see people doing stuff. And Tin Can Knits, A, great designers, B, Canadian, C, tons of patterns and super size appropriate. Like, they go to, what, 5XL?
I don't think it's 5XL.
3XL?
3 or 4.
Somewhere there. They start at newborn and they go to big. It's not the right wordage, but you understand what I mean. And they have patterns ranging from free and intro to color work, top-down yoke sweaters. Like, they do a lot of patterns, and they're quite good at their instruction sets. So it's about as open as we can get it.
I don't know why I'm looking at it.
And it's a choose your own adventure. You can have a simple one, you can have a complex one. Totally your call, guys.
Rustle. Don't mind me.
Are you wrestling?
I am rustling and
Cool
clanking.
beans. So helpful. So helpful.
I know. I'm the most professionalist. Oh, hey, I'm over 1.5 inches.
Cool beans.
I can stop doing that now.
Excellent, because I'm going to go with, hey, we're done with that, and we're ready for the next section.
Okay. Literature.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
I have 2 books.
I also have 2 books. Oh, look at that.
Yours are probably more cheerful than mine.
Yes. I finished First Bite on Friday, I think.
Oh, beautiful.
First Bite was a book by B. Wilson, also of Consider the Fork. Consider the Fork was all about the history of eating. First Bite is all about the brain stuff of eating, I'm gonna say.
Brain? Your sales pitch is amazing.
The brain stuff of eating, the psychology of it, the food memories, I don't know, everything from how you learn new flavors in utero up to where disordered eating comes from as an adult and how you can deal with that. And just all the brain stuff that goes along with eating. It was fascinating. Devoured that book. No pun intended.
Oh, jeez.
I'm sorry, I actually didn't mean to do that.
Oh my. That just came out of your mouth before you realized what you did, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Cool. Okay.
Just punning all over the place.
It's on my TBR.
So highly recommend that book. It was very good.
I'm not allowed to start any new books till I get through my heavy one.
Yes, what is your heavy book?
I am listening to How Dare the Sunrise by Sandra. I cannot pronounce her last name.
It's very, very long.
It starts with an O and it goes for 50 million letters. It just in the intro, when she's reading you like her preface and stuff before you start the story, she says her last name's really long. She's not lying. It's a very long last name. We will link the book down below. It is the story of a war child, refugee. So like it's not a light, fluffy book. This is not sunshine and butterflies all the way through. There is some heavy content going on in here. It is also one of the books that had been suggested on the Book Riot's Read Harder challenges because it fits a couple of the challenge parameters. And I did it because I want to expand how I read and what I read and how I view the universe. And it is so different from anything I've ever experienced in my life. And I knew it was going to be a heavy one going in. I also picked it because it was on Audible.
I read the synopsis on Goodreads, and just that was like, whoa, I can't handle that. That is too much emotion.
There's some complexity going on in there. So you're like, cool, which means like my second book will be light and fluffy. I'm thoroughly enjoying, which sounds really wrong to say, like I am really enjoying the book How Dare the Sunrise, even though it's got such serious content in it, because it is well done and it's well talked, like it's well spoken because I'm hearing it, and it's very engaging. It's just also not light topics. It's not light topics. That's fine. You'd think I'd pick a fluffy romance, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm re-listening to book 6 of the Expanse series by James S.A. Corey. You know, the deep, heavy, all the feels one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a moron.
Mm-hmm.
I was telling Diana, and I told her which scene it was I was listening to, because she's already read book 6. She's like, oh yeah, that helps. I'm like, oh yeah. Crying in one book, crying in the other book. You saw me shoveling the driveway the other day.
You were just a mess.
I was a hot mess. Hot mess, because I was listening to it while I shoveled the driveway. Like, if my neighbors had seen me, they would have thought I hated snow. And I was just frustrated crying because I had to shovel the driveway again. It wasn't. I actually quite enjoy the snow, and I don't have a problem shoveling it. It was in a really deep part of the story, and I was so upset for the character, who I know is okay, because, like, I know that it's okay, and, like, we get to an end, and she's not, like, dead. So it's like, at least that's my hope. So, like, but you get in those moments, you're like, and then, of course, I went downstairs, and then I listened to that. That didn't help me either. So I'm pretty sure my sister thought I was losing my snot, too. I was crying for, like, an hour and a half solid. I had all the feels.
It's a lot of feels.
Too much feels, so I don't know what I was thinking. But I should, in theory, finish How Dare the Sunrise this week, so that I can... The next book will be fluffy. I need...
Something fluffier?
There's going to be some fluff going on for the next couple of weeks, just to...
Yeah, definitely going to need some more fluff.
Gonna balance that out a little, because that was heavy. Super recommend it, though. Like, if you want to expand and diversify your readings, or you're looking at, like, a book club and you guys need to change it up a little to get out of whatever sort of book reading rut you might be in, look at the book Read Harder challenge, because they do have the challenge, but each one of the 52 challenges is going to get a blog prompt for it, and they'll give you a suggestion list of books and why these books fit the genre and the fields and stuff. So it's like, it's a way to just get out of your comfort zone for your reading, which is important because a lot of us fall down a rabbit hole and we never get out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I've
to
pretty
do that.
much only ever read sci-fi and fantasy, and like the last year and a half or so I've been into nonfiction.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's it. There's a lot of genres that I'm haven't. I read a thriller for the first time last year, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
How have I never done that before?
Yeah. It's so good to expand your reading horizons. I can't even get to talk about it. Even when it's deep, heavy books that make you cry frustrated tears while you're shoveling your driveway. It's fine.
Maybe pick a book that doesn't make you cry while you're outside at -20.
Listen, had I been smart, I would have just put music on to shovel the driveway, but I was like, I'm shoveling the driveway, so it took like an hour and a half. I can get a good chunk of the book done. That was a mistake.
Uh-huh.
Will I do it again? Oh, probably.
Bring Kleenex.
Kleenex lives in my pocket, along with a snack. My winter coat pockets at all times contain a package of travel Kleenex and a travel snack.
Because you are a responsible adult for yourself, the child?
I also carry Band-Aids and wet naps.
You didn't have a Band-Aid today when I needed one.
No, because I took it out of my package to make space for my drum spinner.
I need a Band-Aid today.
I know. This is the first time I haven't had a Band-Aid in my backpack in like 6 months. And she's like, you got a Band-Aid? I'm like, really? Now you ask for a Band-Aid. I left that little bag at
and it just
home.
wouldn't stop. It's just annoying. I just wanted a Band-Aid.
I was looking at the package. I was like, no, it'll be fine. I haven't had to use this bag in months. Nope.
Yeah,
lied.
Today
was the day.
I should carry Band-Aids. I know better. Because I'm a small child that also should carry snacks and Band-Aids at all times.
I wonder why my backpack's 2/3 full. It's got a snack, it's got a water, usually has wet naps, Band-Aids, tea, bags, travel tea mug. I don't know how not to go everywhere with my own version of a mommy bag.
And it's for you.
And it's for me. It's not for other people. It's for me.
Alright.
Those are my books.
I have one more book.
Cool.
So I have been attempting to cut out social media this week, and that's been going really well. especially since I realized that when I'm flipping through Twitter, what I actually want is to read something for 5 minutes. So I don't want to get, like, into a book, but I want something on my phone that I can just pull out and read for 5 minutes.
Okay.
Ebook. Hey, that's a thing. Duh.
There's a whole world of things called blogs. Cool.
Yeah,
cool.
I know.
Okay. You're sitting beside someone who writes 3 of them.
I know. So
great.
Blogs, ebooks. Anyway, so I'm reading an ebook right now.
Some fan fictions, which are also delightful.
I'm usually doing this at work, so I feel like that's a bad place for fanfic.
That's fair. That might not be appropriate.
I mean, there's a lot of interesting things we get to look at work just because our merchants have very interesting stores.
Yes.
Because our customers are merchants who themselves have customers. Some very not safe for work stores sometimes. It's quite eclectic.
We have some moments where we're like, whoa, hey.
I shouldn't be looking at this at work. Oh, except this is actually my job.
This is actually my job today. Cool.
All right.
Awkward.
It's like, it says some very adult websites. Adult fun times.
Adult fun times?
Adult fun times.
Yeah, would not bother me in the slightest, but you've met me.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you know what? We're gonna keep this family friendly. I'll tell you after.
Yeah, please.
I'll tell you all about it after.
Tell me later, because it won't embarrass me.
Anyway, where was I going with this?
Ebooks. You're reading ebooks.
I'm reading ebooks. Related to this, the Humble Bundle people that release bundles of games usually, but they've expanded into books.
Mm-hmm.
They had craft books on. They might still have craft books on. If it's still on by the time this podcast goes live, it will be linked in the show notes.
If not, just link Humble
Bundles.
Humble
Bundle, yeah.
Yeah, because they do some really good stuff.
Anyway, they typically get a bundle of games from indie game developers or a bundle of books from an indie publisher, some such, and you can donate any amount of money, and some of it goes to charity, some goes to the publisher, some goes to the Humble Bundle people that run the whole thing. Anyway, the idea is that they donate their stuff and you donate money and everybody's happy.
And the volume of books depends on how much you donate.
Exactly. They had craft books.
We went a little ham.
So for 25 American dollars, I now possess 20 craft books. The one that I'm reading at the moment is Magpies, Homebodies, and Nomads, which is primarily a design book. So it's got some patterns in it, but the point of it mostly is it's broken up into 3 sections. So I've read the Magpies section, which is all about how knitters like pretty things.
We do.
And so you buy that one skein because it's pretty or because it's a fiber you haven't worked in, and so you magpie, you grab the shiny things.
That's absolutely what we do. Okay, yeah, I'm with you.
And then, so she talks about that for a while and how that influences her designs and then some patterns that are relevant. Now I'm reading the Homebodies chapter, and it's about how we like to nest, we like to be cozy, we like to make things for the home. And so it's talking about stuff like design decisions about that. And this one also covered photo shoots for knitwear designs and how they tell stories. And
I feel like I just fell short by only going for that $18 American bundle. I didn't have enough money to do the $25 bundle.
Yeah.
It happens.
I'm sure you can borrow some PDFs.
That would be lovely, because then I can read them, because I do like to make things for my home.
So the pattern, she's got a different design aesthetic than I do, so her patterns aren't really speaking to me, but I'm really enjoying reading the design aspect of it and how she developed the designs.
Sounds so cool.
She talks about colors and textures and how easy or hard something is to knit and how that fits in with the story of the object, and it's quite interesting.
Yeah.
Don't know what the Nomads section is yet.
Haven't made it there?
Haven't made it there.
That's fine.
I'll let you know when I get there.
Works for me.
But it's been a really nice replacement for Twitter, because I find Twitter is either super positive
or super negative,
and there is no in between, and it's frequently more on the negative.
Twitter is a teenager.
Yeah, except it's full of adults, which is
it doesn't make it less of a teenager.
It's distressing.
Have you met a lot of adults? We're not really much better than teenagers.
So, I think I've spent the grand total of 10-15 minutes on Twitter this week, the entire week.
That sounds good. I don't spend much more than maybe a half hour a week on Twitter.
I
like to get on and post random things and then leave again.
Yeah, I've frequently fall into the trap of like, oh, just one more scroll, and then it's 20 minutes.
Oh,
and
no, I don't do that.
I do that really badly, which is why I locked it down and replaced it with an ebook.
That makes way more sense. I'm really good for reading, and it says follow thread, and it's only 2/3 of a thought, and I go, eh. Not close, Twitter down, and I'm done with it. Oopsies.
That's where I'm at with my literature.
Ooh. Well, I covered my 2 books.
Yeah.
The Tearjerker, read it anyway, because, oh my god. So well written.
I don't know if I can handle that. I don't think I'm in a good headspace to read that.
Not right now. Do it when you're back with your husband and slightly less stressed.
Good point.
Mm-hmm. Do it post-move. But you also need to listen to You Can't Touch My Hair.
That is on my list.
Because I really feel strongly that people need to listen to that.
People try to touch my hair sometimes. It's weird.
It's weird. Like,
it's not very often. It is weird.
Definitely weird. All right. Is that it? Is that everything?
I believe that's everything.
Guys, we made it to the end. And Diana got her laundry done.
Yeah, I did. Look at that. I'm being productive.
Sweet.
I put stupid things on my head.
I'm never going to unsee that bento bag. I am never going to unsee that bento bag. I'm going to be fully blind in my 50s going, I can still remember that bento bag.
I'm glad I could bring you joy.
Oh my gosh.
That's what I aim to do in life, is bring people joy with simple things like putting bento bags on my head.
Delightful. Okay, super good. Alright, I gotta say, it's really late Sunday evening. Diana still has to take me home. So I'll say until next week, I'm Jocelyn.
I'm Diana.
And no matter where your week takes you, don't forget to knit. What time is it? Do I have time to play Stardew Valley before I go to sleep?
I don't know.